Welcome to Curry Soup, I'm Shashi. It's the year 2020 now and we practically have explanation for almost everything which happens around us. But despite our modern technologies and our scientific advancement, there is one case which scientists can't seem to explain even until now. It's been more than half a century since this case happened, the Dyatlov Pass case, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. More precisely, we're going to be talking about what exactly happened there based on the evidence we have found, the photographs and the diary entries and everything, and the theories that people put up that to explain what actually happened, which I'll explain to you later that it doesn't actually make sense. So the gist of it is like this. 9 kids went on a hiking trip. 3 weeks later, all of them found dead. And some were actually naked in the ice, buried under the ice. Some had the eyes gouged out and the tongues cut out. So before we start, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do subscribe down there and you'll get one video which we'll post every day. So let's get to it. So Dyatlov Pass incident happened in 1959. It was a boy named Dyatlov from this particular university, currently in a state called Yekaterinburg. He decided to go on a hiking trip or a skiing trip, so he invited 9 of his closest friends with him. Once they had the approval of the university and the state, and also the approval of the parents, they left for the journey on the 23rd of January 1959. Once they were near the base of the mountain already, all of them sent telegraphs to their parents. This was back then when we had no SMS or phones or stuff, so they had to send telegraph to their parents saying they've already reached the place safely and it'll take 2 weeks for them to complete this expedition and they'll return after 2 weeks and send another telegraph to them. But also they noted there that if it's delayed by a week or so, don't worry so much because things might go wrong and it might get delayed a bit. And Dyatlov himself was someone who had the habit of writing diaries. And here's the first weird point of this story. In the last entry of his diary, Dyatlov wrote this: "I have been on many expedition trips and all of them has been boring so far. Will anything interesting happen this time?" So after sending the telegraphs, the kids went off in their journey, went up the mountain. 2 weeks passed by, no news. 3 weeks passed by, no news, and the parents started getting worried. So they went to the university, questioned the university, and finally decided that they need to do a search party. So they invited volunteers and whoever wanted to volunteer to go up the mountain, and they went. Shortly after this, the Russian government joined in as well with helicopters, and the militia joined in for the search party. After some time, they found the first clue of this incident, which is their campsite. And the weird point number 2 here is the camp was not where it was supposed to be. It was way in the cliff around few hundred meters away from where they were supposed to be. Weird point number 3, the camp was actually cut open from the inside out, like someone was trying to run away from something. So the people started becoming very worried already, and they looked inside the campsite and all their belongings were still in there. Even the makeshift stove and their clothes and their baggages, their shoes, everything was there. So they looked around that area and finally found a set of footprints of all 9 of them. Weird point number 3, I think. The footprint were actually first in an orderly, calm fashion, not in a way where someone who ran out of the camp was running away from something. No, this was almost like they all planned to walk down there very calmly, very slowly. And weird point number 4, those footprints were bare footprints. They weren't wearing shoes, some of them only wearing socks, and they walked out into the snow. So what the search party decided to do is follow the trail. They managed to follow up for a few hundred meters, but after that, because of the heavy snow, the trail was already covered up. So they followed in the same direction. And eventually, after a few hundred meters, they found the first 2 bodies. Weird point number 5, these 2 bodies were actually naked in the ice. And they were actually there under a huge cedar tree. And on the tree, there has been signs of people trying to climb the tree. There were branches broken high up. So the reason a experienced hiker would do this is to know where their location is, to get a better vantage point, to see where their camp is, and also in case there was an attack, to see where the enemy's attack is coming from. And after they found these 2 bodies, on their way back, they found the next 3 bodies. These 3 bodies were in the direction of the camp. It looked as if they were crawling back to the camp and died in the process. And even these bodies were only partially clothed. Some had like burnt jackets, some had only pants, only shorts. So this is weird point number 5, by the way. And after this incident, it would take almost like 2 months plus for them to find the next 4 bodies. So weird point number 6, The next 4 bodies were actually found in the opposite direction of the camp. We had point number 7. Like, remember I told you earlier, these 5 people were found. The cause of death was determined as hypothermia. But this bunch, these 4 of them they found, their cause of death was actually massive trauma. When they found the body, they found that the chest bone has fractured, they had skull fracture. Some of them, the eyes were gouged out, the tongue was cut out. The cause of death for this definitely wasn't hypothermia. Being very puzzled, they started asking the people around if they saw anything or if they heard anything. So just to note, there were actually 2 other hiking expeditions during the same time, and also there's this local tribe called the Mansi people living there. And after asking all 3 of them, the common answer they get was on the day of the incident, they saw glowing orange balls of light in the sky. And the moment the Russian government heard all this, I don't know what other evidence they managed to collect, but they immediately closed the case and determined the cause of death as death due to compelling natural forces. All the evidence they collected after that, and all the details about the case, were locked up by the government, not accessible to the public anymore. Only after a few years later, when people started questioning this, people started talking about this, and investigators from outside Russia started coming in to investigate, that they released the documents and the evidences. So as you listen to this, you might have some theories going on in your mind. If you do have any idea to link all these incidents on what happened, please do comment down below. I'm very interested to know. And here I'll explain to you the theories put forth by some of the investigators there. The first one, which I can't explain at all, is aliens. Alright, so one of it is because they have evidence of people saying that they saw balls of orange light in the sky. And another evidence is one of the kid who went on the expedition is actually a photographer, and her last picture was this blurred out ball of light. So the ball of light could have been a UFO, and at the same time it could have been just a candle in the distance, so we don't know what actually it was. It was an old camera, the negative film camera. Theory number 2 is, since this was the height of the Cold War, both sides, US and Russia, had secret projects going on everywhere. So the theory goes like this, that these kids accidentally stumbled upon a Russian secret project and they were killed because of it. But the argument in this is, if someone was chasing them to the campsite, why did they walk down the slope calmly? And according to forensics results, when I told you earlier, they had people with chest fracture and skull fracture. The forensic report says that a normal person can't do this. The force of the trauma is comparable to the force of a car crash. And these people had no external wounds on them. Theory number 3 is the Mansi people killed them. But the same argument goes there as well. Why would they be calm, and how can one person or a bunch of Mansi people generate force to match a car crash force? Theory number 4 is Yetis. Okay, this may sound a bit crazy, but yeah, that's the theory. And there had been few articles and sightings of Yetis and all. I might do a video on that later, but I can't actually tell you if Yetis exist or not yet. Theory number 5 is infrasound. We've all heard of ultrasound, sounds with frequency above the range of hearing of our ears. Infrasound is sounds with frequency below the range of hearing of our ears. And this infrasound has been noted to cause sort of confusion, psychosis in people. So that's the theory they put onto why these kids would leave the camp naked. But the argument in this is, if they were confused or agitated, how did they become so collected? They walked in a single file down the slope so calmly. And what if they were under the effect of psychosis or confusion? How did they know to climb the tree so that they could see where they are? And why would they be walking back in the exact direction of the camp? And theory number 6 is an avalanche. This theory, okay, first of all, at the campsite there was no evidence of an avalanche, and the campsite was in a place where avalanche is impossible. And if it was an avalanche, okay, it explains why they would cut out of their camp and run fast, because they thought something was coming towards them. But why would they be walking calmly down the slope again? So these are the theories put forth, and none of them actually could explain the entire story. If you have any idea of how, or if you have any idea or theories on which correlates all these theories and completes the story, please do comment down below. I'm very interested to hear that. And I actually managed to find a theory which sort of explains most of the incidents, which I found very compelling. If you're interested to know that, do comment down below as well. I'll post it up in the next video. And until then, as usual, wear your mask, sanitize, maintain social distancing, and like and subscribe. Alright, until the next video, see you, bye bye.